Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ground Up Podcast. My name is Matt Walton here with my co-host Matt Huber. How you doing, Matt?
Great, buddy. How are you?
Good. We got a special episode today. We're actually decided to bring in our leadership team for our business here for Spinwheel Assist and a Spinwheel over here. We think that our team has a lot of experience and a lot of things to bring where they can talk about how we're growing this business, how they're running it on their certain departments, and how we're being successful in different places. And so I'd like you guys to welcome a few of our team members here. We got Natalia, Mads, Danish, and Nabahat. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thank you guys for
Doing
having me.
good.
Good to see you. This is kind of a last minute thing. We brought everybody on here, and so we're gonna see how this works. We're gonna go through and kind of talk about people's departments and what they're doing, how they're running successfully, what they're learning, things like that, and just kind of give as much feedback and value as we can for anybody who's looking to run a business or maybe even run a VA business or anything like that. There's a lot of moving parts in it, and so with that, we have to have great people to help run those moving parts. And Matt, I'm sure you know this too. And when you have the right person in the right places, things run smoothly.
And for me, I can think of a perfect example of things running smoothly when you have the right people in the right place. My mind directly goes to Nabahat. When we first started this business, when it was just Matt, you, and myself, and we had help with Dan, and eventually we brought in Mads. Before we had Nabahat, we were doing all the recruiting ourselves, and it was not so fun. It was a tedious thing. It was something that we did because we had to, but not because we wanted to. And Nabahat and I connected as she had worked with me at a previous location doing similar type things with me. And yeah, we decided to bring her in to test her out on the recruiting thing. And it's one of those things that as soon as we brought her in, it was like problem was solved. And I think the best example of when you have the right leader in the right place is when you don't have to ask a lot of questions. You really don't even have to think about that department anymore because you know that person's proactively solving the problem. So, Nabahat, when you originally came in here, what was your original thought of what you were walking into versus kind of what it's been like in your first, I think, what, 5, 6 months?
Yeah, so I remember you texted me that do you want to do the interviews? And I was like, I have given the interviews. I have not taken any interview ever in my life, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. So you asked me to come in, I did, and I had one or two interviews with the other person who was telling me how to do that. I did, and on third interview, he asked me to do it yourself, and I was like, "Are you sure? It's just third interview I'm doing, and are you sure you want me to do that?" And he said, "Yeah, go ahead." And since that third interview, I have taken hundreds of interviews, and I have. I maybe not would be able to grow this much in any other department, maybe, as much as I have done in this one because the avenues it has opened for me to meet so many people around everyone around all over the world, either people from Africa, from Asian countries, from American countries. So it has opened a lot of avenues for me, and I'm glad I said you asked me for this position. I said yes to this position, and today it's running all smoothly.
Yeah, so tell me about your thoughts because I know when you got it from us, it was very unorganized. I think that's probably one of the biggest thing that we had because we're rolling. We have 15 different other things we need to do within the business to get it going, and so this is kind of something that we had to go in here. So tell us about when you got in, like how you put together a structure to help run this.
So it took time. It was not a 1 day or 2 days thing. It took time for me to understand what I have to do, what we have to run. So it took time to streamline the whole process. Then I take one step every time. That for example, I have to do this thing for the first. I'm not going to jump into the interviews, take the interviews from the people. I have to assess how I'm going to take the interview, how I'm going to look into each candidate, what I'm looking for in candidate, what position requires from us, what is the spin wheels overall structure, and how we want to move forward. And so that because it's recruitment is very basic for this business, it's like fundamental to this business. So I have to look for people who actually are going to streamline the whole process for us ahead, or who are like parallel for us what we are building here. So it took time to understand the whole structure of the business, and then what people I have to bring in, how I'm going to bring them, if I have to look into the personalities in assessment, in their experience. So one step at a time, and now we are here, we are running very smoothly in recruitment here.
So throughout the day, on the average day, we have what, about 40, 50 people apply to work for us a day?
Correct. Yes.
So I know that you and I have worked on this quite a bit on kind of identifying the right candidate. But is if we have 40 to 50 people come in, what are the kind of the key things you're looking for before the interview? And then as you go through the interview, what are the key things you're looking for? Because I know that both Matt and I probably value different things in a potential employee and a potential person within our organization than other companies do. But for you, what have you found are the things that you can really look at and say, this is a person that's going to fit?
So basically, I look at the position first of all. So if I'm looking at hiring for some sales position, I would look for different things. And if I'm hiring for some real estate position, I would be looking for different things. But overall, I see that are they aligning with our bigger picture, with the bigger picture of the spin wheel, or do they have something that they can learn from us? If we are teaching them, they should be learning from us. So, can they learn or not? And do they have the energy, enthusiasm, the motivation? And all these things, I get from very simple questions from them. So, if I'm asking them what motivates you, why do you want to do the sales, what is your vision? From these simple answers, I can get what exactly are they going to be best fit for us or not. So these simple stuff can help me figure out that.
So, Matt, one of the things you're probably less aware of, because I generally oversee the recruiting department, but Matt, we've recently expanded Navahat into looking into things outside of what we do today. So we standard things that we've had her recruiting for has been virtual assistants in our sales staff.
Yep.
Over the past couple of weeks, we have a client who's having her look for, I think, two or three other types of roles.
Yeah.
What are those roles you're looking at for Eddie right now?
So first was graphic design, and now he has asked me for PM, like the program manager. So when I was like looking for graphic designers, it's very bigger picture for me because the audience is very wide. I have to look worldwide, and for the worldwide, just select two or three people that who would going to be the fit one. So I have selected two, three graphic design for him right now, and I'm looking for program managers.
Yeah. So maybe to involve the rest of the team, Mads, you just kind of heard Nabahat say what she thinks is the best candidate, is a person who's going to maybe find the candidates, get them through the interview, put them to you. But Mads, for you, what does an ideal candidate look like when we're going through the recruiting and then ultimately the training process? Kind of define what that ideal person looks like to you for your roles.
Basically, for the virtual assistant side, it's not just the skills that's very important because we're the one honing the skills, right? So what's important to me is that we have to have that the same level of like view or vision on what we're looking for. I mean, if my vision is to have someone with a great attitude towards work and with that growth mindset. Any people who has that mindset, I've seen so far that they are the ones who's being very very successful. Even in the first 30 days, you'll be able to you'll see that these are the people who's gonna be soon to be new leaders, new coaches, and yeah.
Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, Mads is our manager. She runs our wholesale department over here to help train, coach, and to build up our wholesale real estate VAs to be successful with our clients. So, Mads, with that, how are you currently looking at building up and training these VAs? Because we know it's not something you can learn. You can't learn real estate overnight. It's not something like you can do that. It's even in a week-long training program, or plus that, you still have so many questions and a lot of things that you have to learn as you're going through and making mistakes. So, tell me about how you're working to coach people and to get them better within this business.
Yeah, I follow the 30, 60, 90-day rule of coaching wherein on the first 30 days, this is where you transfer your skills. You teach them what they need to know. You teach them what they need to build as a skill for the job that they were profiled to. And then for the next 60 days, The next one would be setting up KPI goals. So after they learned all of the skills in the first 30 days, on the 60th, between 30 to 60 days, that's the time that you set up goals, set up targets for them to meet. And you monitor them consistently. Whenever you see them failing on a certain KPI or on a certain goal, that's where you step in, and that's where you do the coaching again. Because it only means that the things that they've learned firsthand, it needs to be, reformed, it needs to be redeveloped, or it needs to be explained again. Now, after that, between 60 to 90 days, this is where you step in to motivate people. Why? Because during this period, this is what we call as the plateau stage, wherein they tend to lose their motivation. Their motivation would slowly, lower down bit by bit, because they're very used to what they're doing, and they're very good in what they're doing. And now it's time for you to show them or tell them that, hey, this is the time where, and you go to that next level, whether it's be a coaching role, whether it's going to be an acquisition role for agent outreach people. So these are the things that you need to do on that 90-day part, where so that they won't, lose that motivation and that grip on the idea of, I want to learn more, I want to grow more, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also I guess a little bit of a motivation here, like you might lost, is you're dealing with a lot of rejection in this business too. You get rejected a lot. You're constantly getting told no when you're putting your offers out there, and that's part of it. So how do you keep that going, and what do you use to motivate them within that when they're getting told no a bunch, they're going through the same process over and over again, and they're trying to get the maybe the acquisition rep trying to get deals in because they kind of put their worth on deals for some reason. But how are you getting them past that?
You just need to let the people know that these things are normal. Everything doesn't need to be perfect every time, because the job won't be challenging, that you won't have that adrenaline rush, that excitement, if we don't have these things to face. I mean, it's just providing the right mindset and the right attitude, that if this comes along, you don't need to feel down. This is something that will tell you, yeah, you have to fight more.
So you mentioned earlier growth mindset's probably one of the most important characteristics, and obviously you're singing my song there when you talk about that. But why, for you, have you seen that being probably one of the best attributes to look for in a person? And what do you use to determine that they have that attribute when going through the training and ultimately the coaching process?
Well, it comes along with how they talk to you, with how they tell you what they want to be in the future, what their aspirations are. I'm not sure, because I can profile people, I would say, and since we have that same level or same goal, if that person that you're trying to develop doesn't have the same mindset as you are, he doesn't want to walk with you to that path, going to that growth, it's gonna be really hard. You cannot pull someone if they don't want to be pulled, or if they don't want to join you. That's why every time I do certification or final certifications, before I pass them, these are the things that I look for, and I would always ask them, what's your passion? Are you passionate about real estate? Are you passionate about sales? So I give them opportunity, because at the end of the day, you will only be successful with the things that you are happy with.
So, I agree with those things totally. I think that we can't, like, we are have such an intentional direction we're going to with kind of our focus on and our mission statement with the company. If you have somebody here that's not growth driven, they're going to be a fish out of water. They're going to be very uncomfortable. It's not going to be the right place for them. So, Dinesh, I'll come to you. And for everybody, Dan is a guy who's worked with me for a couple of years. He started off like most of the team here at an entry level role, has developed into becoming a leader, eventually a manager. Now he's a partner with us that runs a subset of our business. He oversees our SDR team and our sales team. So Dan, I'll come to you with the same question. When you're looking at a potential candidate, when you're interviewing somebody that Nabahat's brought to you, what are the things you're looking for?
Right. So I agree with a lot of stuff that Matt's just said, but learning from you, I've learned that I care far less about the CV. I feel like it doesn't matter because we as an organization, we feel like we believe in micro coaching and not micromanaging. So I look for someone who is confident, who, I mean, for sales, you have to be confident and you have to have the energy. You have to have, the natural energy whilst you're making cold calls, for instance. So I look for someone who has, the energy, the enthusiasm, the confidence. And then again, like I said, um, we don't care about the CV. What I care about is that particular person has a student mentality. So if whatever stage they are in their career, if I coach them on some aspect, do they have the ability to take that in and put that into practice? That's what I did when I was working as an SDR for you, and then I feel like the reason why I am at the position I am right now is because of the fact that I had student mentality. I still ask you a lot of questions, and that's what I look forward into all of the employees or all of the SDRs that I interview for.
Awesome. So we're starting. You're doing a lot of our because we're really getting into our sales side of things. We've been running with wholesale real estate VAs for a little while now, but we're growing our sales side of it. Now you're one of the people that help run that department. So tell me about when we get a new client in, what's your process here on learning their style, learning with their product, learning how to pitch their stuff, and have successful SDRs within that.
Yeah, so I feel like the basics are the same. And again, I learned this from Matt. So whatever we're selling, the basics should be in the same. The fundamentals are the same. So what we do is, so the not the regular process, and Matt and I sit down and we speak about how should we like pitch this product, and then we sort of do you know we sort of put a lot of things together, and then we create a script and pitch, and we sort of do like a mock call with between us, and basically to see how do we sound, saying this pitch out loud. And that's the process. That's how we start doing it. And then obviously after that, uh we sort of train our people with that pitch, and make sure that they're proficient enough, they're fluent enough. And yeah, I feel like that, like I said, everything, whatever we're selling, the fundamentals are the same. It's the energy, enthusiasm, and confidence of the SDRs. If they bring that onto the phone calls, they would be successful.
All right, now I'll put Natalia on the spot real quick because Natalia is supposed to be a junior version of Matt. Is training to become a junior version of Matt to help relieve in a lot of different places. And one of those is sales side of things. So Natalia, I'm gonna ask you a quiz question here. What are Matt's three things he focuses on with sales reps?
Um,
I
I
know he
would
said it.
I would say the three top things Matt is looking for with the sales rep is what Dan said, a student mentality. That's number one. That's
Okay.
very, very important. Someone that's coachable and they're to learn every day and willing to learn every day and willing to deconstruct what they have, learned in the past, maybe about something and go try to build that again. I think that's very important. I think thick skin is also one of the things that Matt is
Mm-hmm.
looking for. This job requires you to be very strong towards rejection and waking up every day and just not taking stuff personally and just move on with the sale and your objectives. Um, Student mentality, and I think assertiveness too, and confidence, and just your attitude is very, very important. You have to be a little bit, depending on the sale, I guess you have to be more aggressive sometimes, you have to be gentler sometimes, but overall you have to be very assertive, you have to be very confident about the product that you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's why what him and I try to work on with our SDRs pretty much.
Yeah. So Dan, there's one of the things that was slightly missed in there, and I agree with everything she said. Obviously, assertiveness
Yep.
is very important. But what's that third thing that kind of puts it all together behind the coachability, the thick skin, and what's that third thing that really is important? That a lot of people. I don't know how to interview for this process, but if you don't have this, it kind of makes the other two things very difficult. What's the third thing?
That you have to be self-aware. You need to know that where you're currently, where you're looking at, and you have to be
Yeah.
self-aware. If you're not self-aware, I mean, you can't be coached. You have to know that what are your pros, what's your cons. So self-awareness is really important.
What I was also looking for is the three words that Matt always says. I'll give
Yeah.
you all a
So
hint.
Bit.
So I'll ask it in a different way, and I'm confident she knows the answer to this one. But I'll ask it: a successful sales day, a successful sales week, a successful sales month, year, whatever, any success is typically always going to look back at three primary things, Natalia. There's a moniker that if I would have tattooed to myself, there's three things that's always a reason why in coaching. So maybe I'll even ask Mads, because I bet Mads, not a salesperson, not a sales coach, but Mads, what are the three things that it always comes back to?
Um, Pitch, pace, and attitude.
There you go.
There you go. Pitch, pace, and attitude. So yeah, Matt, to your point, there's a lot of I tend to try to break things down in threes. I tend to break things down. So I do have those things that Natalia mentioned are three characteristics that I'm really pressing home when we're doing the recruiting side and we're in the early stages of coaching. If I'm looking at a successful day, if I'm looking at why somebody's successful in sales or not, I'm typically breaking that down in pitch, pace, and attitude. And that, to me, that applies outside of just sales. It applies to the VA side. It applies to life. I have a personal friend of mine who's going through a very traumatic personal life experience. And when I was having a conversation with her the other day, and she works with us. She helps run a subsegment of our business as well. And she was telling me everything she's got going on. And I said, hey, pitch, pace, and attitude. What can we control? Control what we can control. If we can't control it, why are we affecting it? And she rolled her eyes at me and, basically said some explicit words to me in a loving way, but said, yeah, you're right. Pitch, pace, and attitude. Control what we can. Let's not focus on the things outside of our control. So I completely agree with that. Now, Dan, when I hear you talk, when I hear you answering these questions, man, it puts a smile on my face because you are very much a junior version of me in the way you think, the way you talk, the way you can apply that. And Natalia, that's something we're growing to be. Now, the role you're serving inside of our business is going to have some crossover with what Dan does, but the real value of what you're going to be doing is somebody who's going to be presenting, closing with our clients, for our business. So I know you're still very new at this, but man, you have drank from the fire hose in your first, what's been a little over a month or so, something like that. What is maybe the one or two things that have stood out to you about your first month joining a fast-growing, fast-paced organization like this?
I think just maybe reaffirmed for me, working here for a month, just like how important teamwork is and internal communication. I'm a communications major, so that's like my favorite thing, and figuring and managing our processes is very important to me. And I think it's reaffirmed my love for teamwork. And I think Spinwheel has a golden ticket, which is internal communication. You guys have managed that so well that it flows very easily between employees, between departments, between the recruitment side and the VA side and the sales side. They're different, but we work together all the time, all day. We're talking to each other all day. We're touching our pain points, our needs, and we're also all super aware of what the other person is doing in their own role. So we're also capable to either sometimes ask for help or also help someone else in another department. And yeah, I think that's the biggest impact I've collected throughout this month.
Yeah, what that comes down to is you guys. Really what it comes down to is having you guys in the right place and people who know what they're doing, people who like what they're doing. At least if you don't like it, I wouldn't know. But at least people that are really working hard towards something. And as we've tried to grow this, it's always for us to find ways to better you guys and to move you up into better roles, into more high-paying roles, more fulfilling roles, and things like that. And what you guys are going back to, people we look for when we're recruiting is the growth mindset. Every single one of you guys have it, which I think is a big part of how we grow our organization, which talks about culture within it. If you don't have the right people on top, you're not going to find the right people below it. So thank you guys for that. And so my question here for Mads is, Mads, we'll go back to the VA whole side of things right now. So we're working with a lot of clients that we have, and the reason why I'm asking you is because we're both in this all the time. We talk to our clients that we work with. A lot of it is not only coaching our VAs, but coaching our clients. We have clients that come in that are running a business successfully and they just need to put some people in place and they run it from there. We have other clients that we're helping to run their business successfully. So how are you managing that with our clients now? Because I'm passing a lot over to you to help run this and to help show clients how to be successful because we've seen it from other clients and how we do things. You've seen it from me and how we run our business. So how are you kind of coaching our clients here to be better and successful with their VAs?
So communication with the client is very important, and identifying what's their pain point, and what needs to be developed. So there are, certain factors and certain areas in their business that we look at to see which needs to be developed. And if there's like something from the like one client that really makes it successful, resolving that issue, we make suggestions to the clients and present, that these are the things that we can do. What do you think? Is this something that you want, or is this something that you feel we can try? So we've done that, and because of, I called it benchmarking, or I can't remember the term, but getting good practices from others is one of the good things that actually help other clients who's not doing so good at the beginning of the business. So as we go along, we try new things, so we benchmark new new processes, and eventually once it hits that it's working for them, then we just do consistency, and then we apply it, and then see how it goes as we go along with them. And then reporting to them as well is very important, letting them know what's happening and what are the things we've done so far. For them is also very important. What I always teach our VAs as well is for them to make sure that they communicate with their clients what they're doing every as much as possible. I want them to like give updates to the clients on an hourly basis what they're currently doing, so that the clients are aware that we're really moving, and they would know the work, and the hard work that we're putting in to help out their businesses.
Right. And one of the biggest things you said on there is the processes. We see a lot of issues with processes in general, and I think that's something that we've seen within our business here is how we work out these processes, how we get it in place, where how we do things consistently. Same thing goes with wholesalers and how they do things. So with the sales process, Dan and Natalia, how are you guys? Where are you? Do you guys have to work with clients a lot on their process and how they do things, or is it more of setting up our process internally and how we handle different things for the clients?
Um, for me, it's totally my process. So, I mean, so for instance, this client of mine, Sunny's, we just acquired them 3, 4 months back. So we don't know what their process was. We just, built our own process, and then put our people onto that process. And since then, it's been going really great. So I feel like for all the clients, I do have one other one which I'm managing for Matt, Eddie. It's the process that Matt and I are building for Eddie, not the process that Mehdi has given us. So
Yeah, and let me add to that because and it's been a growing effort with Sunny's. I mean, that's the first client that I've had Dan run front to back, and it's been an evolvement. When we first started that, Dan probably allowed them to take a little bit more control. He allowed them to want to interview all of them, and Navahat and Dan, went through a lot of hurdles to put a lot of people in front of them. But eventually, Dan was able to gain their trust. And so recently, we decided to replace one of our sales reps and bring a new one in. And over time, I've been able to show Dan how he can take control and say, okay, we've earned the right for us to pick our own people. We know what you want. I don't want to waste your time putting people in front of you. So he's been able to now navigate into that process where if we need to make an internal change, we don't ask permission. We just make the change and then them inform them of that. Because at the end of the day, especially on the sales side, it's probably, very similar to what we do on the VA side, but on the sales side, it's always about results. It's always about the execution, and it's very measurable. So if we don't have a sales rep in place that's getting the results, and we want to replace them because we believe somebody else coming in will help get the results, at the end of the day, that's on us. And whether that's the clients that Dan's running or now the clients that Natalia's running, we have kind of two different segments. The one Dan runs are people who pay us monthly fees. The one that Natalia runs are different story in that we are working 100% performance based. And Matt, you and I have talked about the difference between performance based clients versus flat fee clients. We still have to perform, we still have to deliver, but when we don't perform on Natalia's clients, it's on us. When we don't perform on Dan's clients, it's just a different thing, but it's still on us. So, and maybe that kind of offers some additional perspective to your original question, Matt.
Absolutely.
So, Natalia, I'll ask you kind of the same question as you are managing the two clients that you're managing for us. When there is not a flat fee structure that we have to go through, how do you feel it is managing the clients? Is it just working with them to make sure we deliver results, or making sure that we fulfill their expectations, or a combination of the two? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think with Galaxy SEO, for example, it's more us putting our process, and especially your expertise and how to deal with presenting and closing a bit more. But with White Carrot, for example, since I feel like we're going on a kind of like a learning journey, exploring a new market. So it's more side by side. Like, we take their feedback very seriously. They take ours very seriously because they're also figuring out that new market. So we kind of merge processes in this specific with this specific client. And I guess more importantly, with both, what I try to do with both the SDRs and the client is manage expectations. That's one of like my main things when I'm trying to deal with the client. Get to know exactly what they're looking for, and also us showing them exactly what we can offer and exactly the person that we have for them, and try to manage those expectations as well as possible. I think it's a very important thing to do in sales. That's the, I think, probably main miscommunication that happens in sales, is just managing your clients' expectations of what you have to do. Because they might have a different mindset of what even an SDR is, or our lead coordinator, or what they're supposed to do. So I feel like that's my main thing when I'm trying to handle the clients that I'm working with. Just having really transparent conversations with them. And yeah, I think just being, again, communication. It goes back to communication again. Just being very transparent with the client, and also with your SDRs. To manage their expectations. I think we think about the clients a lot, but also I need to keep an eye on the SDRs and on my team's expectations always, and what they're feeling, and what they think they should be doing. Because again, that also happens when you're managing people. There might be different expectations, or we might think differently, or what a role is. So we have to be very, very straightforward, I think, with both.
So yeah, and to me, I think the difference, Natalia, for you is that the clients that you manage, it's almost like a partnership. It's not like you are a client, or you are becoming a client, or they're your client type deal, right? You are a partnership with them, so your success breeds their success, and your lack of success really doesn't hurt them in that way. Now, Dan, yours is slightly different, but I think you might have a question. So what's your question?
Yeah, so I do have an interesting question for you both, Matt and Matt. You know that AI is here, right? And the industry is evolving. So, and we even interviewed this company to implement the same AI technology into our own business. So I would just want to like ask you guys that, what do you guys think? Where do you guys see Spinwheel in 5 years with AI at its peak? I feel like at 2030.
I don't even know if AI is going to be at its peak at 30, but I mean, so obviously you can't ignore it. You can't ignore AI. There's no way to. You can be old school as you want to be and say that people are never going to get replaced, but the truth is a lot of it will happen. So we want to keep our eye on the technology that's in there. We want to test out things and see how it works out for our business and how we can utilize it. Absolutely. We obviously still think that there's no replacement for actual people to get on the phones. I mean, we've heard AI voice technology when they're talking over phones and stuff like that, and I don't think it's there yet, but eventually it will be. And there's other things that we can, again, test out and try and see if we can fit in within different businesses. But I think there's always still going to be that level of personal connection and people that go in the place, and that's not going to be fully replaced by anything. So we'll find ways to implement it in different ways to make our lives easier and more efficient in places like that. But I don't think it's ever going to replace what we do.
Yeah, and I'm not so confident that it won't replace what we do. I'm confident. I am confident in our ability to adapt. I think that just in our first year of us running these Spinwheel Assist, I think that we probably adapted 4 to 5 times. I think that one of the most valuable things that we have is assets on our team and leaders on our team like you guys. And I count on you guys to, like us, be thinking ahead, not just thinking in the present. And Mads, you and I've had this conversation quite a bit as we're trying to develop some additional leaders in assist, which is finding problems and then coming up with solutions. I think one of the things that has become a huge advantage to us is that we have learned a level of expertise and mastered certain topics that I think when AI comes available and more prevalent, I think that our mastered processes and our expertise will be to our advantage. So, and if I look at somebody like a Navahat, and we work with a company who does recruiting processes, her expertise of what we're looking for, what to ask, how to ask, to ultimately let AI do the day to day will still need to be programmed into the AI. When we talk about having AI potentially replace your SDR team, Dan, we still are going to have to put in what they say. How do they say it? When a customer says this, what's the response? So our expertise still becomes very applicable, but I think that our advantage that we all have and we have as an organization is our agility and our ability to move. If you go back to the original business idea I had when I left the corporate world versus where I'm at today in my entrepreneur journey, man, that journey has changed 10, 15 times. And if I think that what we've come to right now as a team is this is the place we'll end and we'll just grow, that's not what business is. So I think that the growth of AI is absolutely on the future, but I think that I'm excited about that opportunity because I anticipate the fact that we'll be ahead of the curve and we'll already be prepared for that change and be able to adapt to it. Does that answer your question, Dan?
Yeah, and it's good for us. Yeah, we keep our jobs.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we've already looked at an AI tool and we've already considered it. Matt and I, at the end of
Yeah,
last year, as you guys know, Natalia, you weren't with us yet, but Mads, Dan, Navahat, you guys know we put you on a call where we considered acquiring an AI company and figuring out a
yeah,
way to integrate that in there. And I still, if I had to forecast, I bet we do that within 2025. And it doesn't mean that it's ready for us to put into place by 2025, but I think that a tool like White Carrot is a tool that we will and have attempted to and will continue to implement into our business. And I think that our expertise will help grow that. So now, you've used a software like White Carrot to help implement and grow your process. And I know that you've worked with the team over there to add your expertise to it. How do you feel like AI will affect your job, let's say 2, 3, 5 years from now?
So, what I think, as you mentioned, adaptability, and also AI is not going to replace us. What I think is AI is going to be help us. We can work collaboratively with it, but it cannot replace humans. So just like the example you gave of White Carrot, it's a great software. It's a great AI tool. It can help recruit all of the people we want to. But again, it does require some human connection with it, human instructions to it. So it cannot work on itself. If we have to find some candidate for some position, it cannot do it for by itself. We have to give it instructions. We have to modify the software as well, which I talked to the team and they said that they can modify that software. So we have to modify that software every time we are posting for some particular job. So just like that, we can work collaboratively with it, but I don't think so AI can replace humans. It can help us a lot.
So one of the other things we've added to our repertoire over the past couple months is we added in school, which is a training program that we've taken all of our dedicated training programs on there. Mads, we work really heavily on building out a very extensive training program. But since we've evolved into school and using that software to help us, how do you feel like that's kind of maybe changed? And we benefited by using a tool like school to be able to deliver our training program.
Well, one of the features of school, which is very important, is it tracks progress of the candidate of I mean of the trainee. So once they ask for access, after the first meetup with the trainees, they will immediately sign up or create a profile to get access. But not all of them will jump into the training course, and you'll know who these people are. And once you see that, you would know who are the first ones who's gonna certify, and you would know who are the serious ones who's taking in the challenge. So that is a good one of the good things that school brought us. And I think one of the features that we can also make use of is the posting. I know that we can create like discussions in school to talk about stuffs related to a certain topic, like something like what we have in Facebook, wherein you post and then they comment. So I think that's one of the features that we can also make use of.
Yeah, and I don't think we've really utilized school to our fullest capabilities. I think that we originally kind of put it out there.
Yes.
I think that's probably a good idea, Matt, for maybe you to have a conversation with Zoha to say, hey, how can we improve our community engagement inside of school, not just during the original training program, but as people continue to go through it and we continue to gain engagement, we use it as a training delivery program, but it is a community based program. So, Matt, maybe that's something for us to consider building out. And Mads, thanks for that idea because that's something I don't think I'd really thought too much about.
Yeah, we thought about at the beginning with school, but we haven't thought about it in a while. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And there's another feature in school wherein you can like schedule a weekly calendar. Say, for example, Zoa's gonna set up a weekly training for the real estate side talking about a certain topic. So she can do a Calendly, similar to a Calendly, wherein people can join that session.
All right. So, one other question I wanted to kind of shift to, and this is something that we did at the end of last year, and I think it was received with mixed reviews by all of you guys. Now, Natalia, you aren't here yet, so I will be interested to see what your perspective was as you came in as a recruit hearing this honest approach. But maybe what I'll start with you is with you, Nabahat. We introduced a scoring system. It started with you. Started with our recruiting team where we said, hey, we want to grade on a certain levels of things. Here's what people are good at. Here's where they're weak at. And that scoring system allowed you to put people into certain stages and move and progress people on, especially as you grew your team and you put other people into your role. It allowed you to assess how somebody might see the things you saw. When we originally started that, what was your original thought, honestly? And then what do you think about it today?
So before, I was relying heavily on the numbers, honestly, because I thought this is the only criteria which we can help candidates to, and because we were providing them the scorecards as well, so it was helping them and the candidates as well, so to see where they are standing. But by now, as I have done it for almost like an year now, so it is helpful for candidates, obviously, as equally important for candidates as it was before, to see where they stand, what skills do they have, and for us as well, just to see, because we have set a criteria for each candidate, each skill. it can help us tell that what this candidate is good at and what this candidate is not good at. So because we do not have just one position with us, we can look for any other position or any other place they can be fit for. So these criteria help us understand which skills they are good at and which where we can place them.
Okay. So, Mads, I'll go to you next because you were the other leader we had in place running a subset of our team when we rolled this out. Dan was not yet running a team of people, so it didn't apply. We had an existing decently sized team when we rolled this out. My coaching style, it applies and it works for me, but you have a much different coaching style than I do. What was your original thoughts when I rolled this out? And then we'll get to what your thoughts are today. And I want you to be honest.
When we started, the grading system made me think that it's like a leaderboard wherein we rank people, know who are the first ones to, you know, might get promoted in the next coming months, who are the ones that we profile that, hey, these are the group or people that we need to develop for that next step or not next level. And then these are the people that we need to skill up. So that's my idea behind the grading system that we have put in place. But
Has
now,
it helped? Okay, but now, yeah.
yeah. But now that I've learned that the one of the purpose of that grading system is to know who are the people who will fight for their scores. Who are the people who would say, "Hey, Mads, you're giving me a wrong score. I don't think I deserve this." And that's an eye opener for me because it's not just a one way communication that created that grading system. It created a two-way communication between a coach and a coachee. And then because of that, it earns the respect for each other. I mean,
Mhm.
it helps us understand who these people are or understand how they work and who they really are as a person.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is great, and that's really the point of it, right there. Is the why well Matt's idea came about and why how it works out so well is the fact that when you have people that fight for it, you can take it two different ways. You can take it as in you can get confrontational and get upset that they're fighting for it, or you can say that hey, this person is passionate about getting better. This person wants to grow and wants to improve how what they're doing, and so they're passionate and fighting for themselves. That's a good sign. You know, if you got a low score and they're just like, oh, whatever, and just go on about their day, like then you know, like, hey, this person's not really interested in making themselves better or grow, or willing to fight for themselves and how they do. So that's great that you see it that way too.
And if we go back to that original question that Natalia answered when that Matt had asked her, it also helps you identify those three characteristics. It identifies, do they have that student mentality? Can they take it? Do they have that thick skin? And are they actually self-aware? If they think they should score an X, but you and the leadership team has them scoring here, are they self-aware or is there a disconnect around what they think they are versus what we think they are, right? And then if their student mentality and they have the ability to get very sensitive to things that they don't agree with, then maybe we need to improve their thick skin and how to communicate, how to then get their scores better to the place they think they are. So when you have that coaching system that tells them not just here's where we think you are, but I think even more importantly, that scoreboard part that you mentioned, here's where you stack up next to your team and next to your peers in an organization that is focused on growing future leaders. And we're only going to grow the leaders who are at the top of each subsegment of the group. Here's exactly, if your why, if your goal is to grow, and you're not at the top of your leaderboard, then maybe you should have more of a student mentality, be willingness to go receive the coaching. And if your awareness is not in line with how you're graded, let's maybe connect those things. So, you can see that those scores can bring all of the other concepts together. And then when you go to them and you coach them, Mads, if they start blaming, well, the market this or my this, that, and the this is this, and it's not a pitch, pace, or attitude, now we connect them back to the pitch, pace, and attitude, control what they can control. So all of those things in alignment do kind of all come together in that sense. Dan, how about you? When you took over the team, and you started hiring people and you started grading people during the recruiting process and doing that for your team, how is your feeling on it? If it was you in that seat, how would you like it? What are your thoughts on it today?
Honestly, I felt like it was a good idea from the get-go. The reason being, like now that Natalia's come in and now we've got this sheet where we put all these numbers of people, I think it has gotten a lot easier now that if we want to switch some SDR for our client, we have like replacement on the sheet, and we could just, by the just looking at the numbers, we know, okay, okay, this X person is eight in accent, eight in English, he has good personality. Okay, boom, he's good to go. So I felt like that was my initial thoughts on it. That I felt like it was good to implement this. I feel like the same way. I feel like it has helped us a lot.
What we have not done with your team and Natalia's team yet, but we're going to implement by the end of the month, is we're going to do the monthly grading system for the employees. We've done the grading system coming in. On the BDC company that I run, we've installed that again this past month, and it's been an amazing feedback to get people focused on their coaching. Mads has been doing it for a couple of months, and I think it's been fantastic to kind of see who reacts to that and see who's done well. I think that one of the most important places we've been able to build and promote people from is because of the grading system, and to be able to identify the who's up next, who's on deck type of approach. Now, Natalia, your experience with it probably different than others. You just went through the recruiting system when Nabahat and her team graded you. Then you went through the recruiting system where Dan tested you and then he graded you. I don't know if you ever found out what his score he gave you was. And then you came to me and then I hired you. But how was your experience on it coming through the recruiting side? And then now being somebody who plays a part in grading people and putting scores on people. What are your thoughts now?
I think my thoughts are not only like exclusively around our grading. I think it's just grading in general, like grading in academic settings, like just numbers, man. They're hard. I love them, but I also hate them. Um, it's hard to do that transfer between qualities to quantity and try to merge both. Um, I personally like it because a good thing about numbers is that you can graph them. I think being able to see a line or see a growth, see a decline, see just that's very, very important in any type of growth scenario, whether it is again personal, professional. So I do like grading in that sense. I think the problem with it is again the managing of expectations with the people that you're interviewing, but in this case with each other, I think the teams or the people that are recruiting and interviewing people, we all have to be very coordinated and kind of in the same page of what those subjective, because at the end of the day it is like qualitative transfer to quantitative transfer is it's just subjective. It's going trying to attempt to grab something that's subjective and make it an objective thing, and that's really hard. And we need to coordinate with each other, and we are on the same page of, okay, what does urgency mean for you and what does it mean for me? Because the worst thing that we can do is someone coming in and grading someone a 3, and then the next day someone else interviewing them and getting them an 8. That's clearly a miscommunication between us and the people that are doing the interviews. So I think when it comes to grading, that's the thing that I like to keep an eye on. Like, look at others people's that they graded before, their notes, and be like, okay, I do see what they mean when they put that this person is good attention to detail, for example.
Yeah.
Just internal coordination. That's the most important thing, I think, when you're trying to do that change between subjective and let's try to like make this a bit objective, you know?
Yeah, me and Matt have talked about this. There's a right way and a wrong way to do the rollout of grading people. And if you use that as an opportunity to tear people down, it's never going to go right. And it's not ever the purpose of what we're doing here. And I think Mads and you guys are understanding this. It's us to be able to assess how you're doing, to show you how you can improve, and to help you understand, again, the self awareness and how you can get better and grow. And so when we approach it like that, we have the conversation with them. We allow people to fight back because we want to hear that feedback and that passion about, hey, my grade's better than this. But we also want to identify the people who don't care about that, who just kind of move along and just kind of go about their day, because we understand that we're trying to grow our team and put the right people in place. The people who are ready to go, that are self-aware, that want to fight for the better position and better job, or to do better at the job that they're currently doing, are the people we need to move up in place. So I'm glad that you guys see it that way. I know that we threw it out there and we're like, all right, let's see how it goes. We put everything in place, but you have to hope that people take it the right way also at the same time.
Well, Matt, I'll throw it back to you real quick before we move off this topic. But I know it was kind of more of my idea at first, and I threw it out at you. And you and I have talked about it briefly. But
Yeah.
honestly, what was your initial thoughts on it? Were you kind of like, oh no, is it gonna overturn the apple cart? Was it like, as soon as I said it, you're like, I get it, I understand it? And so, what was your original thoughts, and kind of how do you think we could do better with it today? Like, maybe where could we be taking it done well, but do even better? How could we advance it?
No, I mean, my initial thought was I see where this is going and how it can work out really well. I also see how it can work out really bad.
Yeah.
So just when we're going to do this, we just have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And so that's what my thoughts were on it. So we have to make sure we set the expectations, like Talia said, the right expectations of how we're going to do this and why we're doing it. We're not doing this to bring anybody down. We're not doing this to tear anybody apart publicly. We're doing this to show you how we can improve, who's better than you. If you want to grow, this is who you have to beat. And so it's kind of a friendly competition. We all think competition is great when it's done the right way, obviously. And so our goal was to roll this out and to have it be a tool that is used to promote growth and to promote our team to be able to see how they can grow. So that's how it rolled out, and I think it rolled out pretty well. And the way we could have done it better, I mean, to be honest with you, I think that we learned as we grew it. And so I think the way it is now is great. We understand that when we before we roll out our grades publicly, you need to talk to each other in person. And we need to go over things and understand why, because you don't want somebody to be upset in a public setting, to bring up their intention why they're upset without actually knowing about why you had to grade it. And you could spend a lot of time going over people's grades. And you don't want to do that in front of everybody. You want to kind of go through and help hash everything out outside of the public setting here. So once we implemented that with MADS, we understood like, hey, we're going to do our grades. Let's talk to everybody beforehand to see exactly why you got this. And then when we roll it out, it's not a surprise to somebody in front of a bunch of other people. And so that way we can help improve it. So I think that was a big change that we made. But again, like I think it all starts off when you're coming to certify or when you're coming into our interview process, is this is what we do. And this is why we do it. And you know right from the get-go, this is what's going to happen as you get within our organization. And if you know that when you get started, then you should not be pissed off about it later. If you're mad about it, then it's probably something that we can help control and we can help make you better at. And if you don't want to get better at that, then you're going to continue to be mad about it.
Yeah, and look, if you're mad at it, it's all good. Probably not a good fit for our organization. Probably not a good fit for our mission. Like, our mission is to develop future leaders either in this organization or out. And if you don't have the ability to take tough coaching, if you don't have the interest in getting better and you're not self-aware, then you're probably not a great fit. And Nabahat has no shortage of people coming in the door and wanting to get inside of here. So if you're not a good fit, no hard feelings on our end. We wish you the best, but we'll bring in somebody else who maybe we won't right now because we don't have a spot to fit them in. And if it's not a right fit, please let us know. We won't feel offended. We're not trying to be for everybody. We're looking for the select few that are like Nabahat, that are like Dan, that are like Mads, that are like Natalia, who are aligned in their thoughts and their goals. So I was going to ask you guys if you had any questions for us, but that kind of more directly goes directly into the alignment. And for me, I tell you guys every day what my why is. Matt tells you every day what his why is. We came up with a mission statement to make sure everybody understands what our why is. But Nabahat, what's your why? At Spinwheel in life, what is your why?
I would say to grow. The growth I can see in the company, the growth I can see in my everyday life. Even by the growth in my everyday life is by through the spin wheel, it's good enough for me. That is my why.
And you're somebody that the amount of growth I've been able to see with you since you've been here has been amazing. I mean, obviously you work with me for about 6 to 8 months in a previous client that I had. We brought you in here, to your point, like you said, very green, never have interviewing your growth first in regards to mastering the role, then being able to duplicate yourself a variety of times. You've been so fantastic at leading others within your department and so organized that we moved you up into become my executive assistant, and the stabilization around helping me make sure I am where I need to be and helping take all the things off of my plates while running a important division and managing a lot of our teams. Yeah, I'm excited to continue to see you grow. I can't express to you how much I've been impressed with what we've given you, how you've handled it. And so growth for you is inevitable, and just continue to show me that you can handle what you have.
Thank you so
Mads,
much.
I'll go to you next. What's your why?
All right, before I answer that, I know you were asking if we have a question, but mine is
Okay.
not like a question, but more of like a suggestion. We've been grading everyone from recruitment, upon endorsement to a client every month. So I think it's gonna be a good idea if you can grade me too, so that I would know which areas I need to improve on. Because if we're driving student mentality and growth to our people, and I think it has to be the same way. I'm not perfect. I need to know feedbacks as well for me to grow, and that's where it leads to my why. When I started, when I joined Spinwheel Assist, I think way back 6, 7 months or 8 months ago. Um, I'm on that point of my life wherein I wanted to leave a legacy, and that's my why. I I wanted to be remembered as somebody who helped others, who helped others develop, who helped others grow. And when I say legacy, that even if I'm not here in this earth, I say I'm already 40 and say I'm gone. I want these people to still remember me, even if I died like 10 years, more than 10 years, or you know, you know what I'm trying to say. But
A long
leaving
time.
a
Yeah.
legacy is very important because that's gonna be the pride that we're gonna give to our children.
All right. So, question for you, real quick, Mads. Do you want us to grade you right here live on this podcast, or do you want us to? Okay, I didn't think so, because we'll do it
Ah,
right now. We'll grade you. We will post this clip, put it on your social media. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I look. I love that you said that. Um, Absolutely, would love to sit down with you. What I would ask that you do, and Matt and I will talk about the things that we think that you should be graded on in your role. But I'd love to hear from you what you think you would like to be graded on within your role. Let's see how closely your idea and our idea aligns, and I absolutely love to do that with you. Great
of course.
suggestion. Now, Dan, Nabahat, and Natalia, now we're going to grade all of you guys because of Mads' suggestion as well. So,
Everyone thank Matt. Yeah.
Dan, all right. So, same question to you. What is your why?
Honestly, when I first started, my way was very simple. I wanted to buy cars, I wanted to make money. Uh, I mean, in easier words, I wanted financial freedom, security, and the ability to build something on my own. But, as I grew in Spinwheel, my perspective has sort of shifted, has pivoted. It stopped being just about making money, just about having, more salary, and it became about making more impact. Now my why is like, I mean, it's very similar to what we have as our Spinwheel mode is to create future leaders. Because I've seen myself grow, and I want to create more opportunities for others as well, and helping other people grow. Whether it's my team, whether it's my clients, whether it's business we support, whether it's Natalia's clients, I want to create an environment where we can help people develop, succeed, and eventually lead in their own right. I mean, that's why we're duplicating ourselves as well, and that is what drives me right now.
And as I hear you talk about your evolution, Dan, it is interesting to me because, yeah, I'm aware that money was a motivating factor. It still is. And there's nothing wrong with money being a motivating factor. But I
Yep.
think a lot of times young leaders miss the part where when you're able to duplicate yourself, the ability for you to grow organically, because when you can replace yourself, then you grow. That's where you can really make more money, and the most amount of money is by growing due to the fact that you have built a foundation of other people below you. And I'm excited to see you have now, for the first time, identified a person within your team that you say, I know this can be my next version of me. And you have identified them, you have started working with them, and I'm excited to see you, for the first time since you work with me, duplicate yourself and be able to do that successfully. And that's something I'm really excited to see you do. All right, Natalia, for you, same question. What is your why?
This is gonna sound so Gen Z, but I feel like I'm constantly in a pursuit of happiness. I feel like my generation sometimes we I think we're maybe more aware that some like financial goals sometimes are not aligned with our personal goals and like what we think we're happy doing. So for me, that's always been a priority, even more than money. And I know that's such a 23-year-old thing to say, but it still is. My happiness is still my priority in that sense, like the way I move in my life. And I've noticed now that the place where I'm most happy is in a study environment. I'm a nerd by nature, and I'm very very curious. I love questions. I love conversations. I love studying. So for me, if I'm in a place where I can um, learn new things, even if it is, professionally, for example, in sales, I've never done this before. So for me right now, it's just being like, I feel like I'm back in uni, back in school, and I love it so much. But I also take this opportunity to talk about other people's cultures. I think that's one of my favorite things about this company is just how diverse we are and international company we are. And I love just sitting for a little bit and talking to people about their culture, their religion, their everything that's different from mine. And I think I've taken a lot of advantage of being able to have a team of people that are from another continent, and I just take sometimes 5 minutes of my conversation to be like, so care to explain this to me? Or I grabbed Soha the other day and I was like, I'm so interested about your fasting. Can we talk about it for 10 minutes? And she was like, sure. So I think that's my why. I just keep being curious and keep like learning every day new things.
Yeah. And so, Natalia, I think it's interesting because you are at a very different place in your career than some of these other people we have on our team. And, for me, if I'm mentoring and I'm coaching somebody that's at the stage of their career and at their life, I always say, once again, three things. I always say you should look at a career in being able to provide, number one, financial flexibility, right? We all work for income. But I would tell you at your part of your career, I'd put less focus on the financial side of it. And I would put more focus on the other two things, which I think get overlooked for young people who chase money more than anything. I think number two is building the skills and attributes that will be valuable to you in the future. So becoming more, identifying the skills and attributes that you can use, adding more tools to your tool belt for the future. And then number three, which I think is the most overlooked side, which is just your overall network and establishing relationships and connections that can be leveraged for you in the future. I think that's something I wish I would have learned far younger in my career, to not focus on the money side, but focus on the skill development and the networking side and building relationships, because the relationships and the skills are going to ultimately help you make 10x the money in the future. So I think that your idea of learning from people, gaining skills, figuring out what you want to do with your life is the perfect place for you to be at. And hopefully we can provide a lot of that for you here. And hopefully that means you stay here and grow with us forever. But if not, everything that you can gain from this until you move on would be an ideal scenario. So Matt, any other questions for the team before we wrap it up?
No. I just want to, obviously thank you guys for jumping on this. Thank you guys for being a part of our team and helping us grow consistently. Again, we couldn't do what we are doing without the right leaders in place, and you guys are the right leaders in those places. And so, hopefully, like Matt said, hopefully you guys are with us for a very long time. But what we want to do is make sure that we develop you guys in the best way possible. So that way, if you want to stay with us, great, we can grow together. If you don't, and you want to take your career to somewhere else, then we provided you the skills to do that. So thank you guys for being here and jumping on this meeting with us, guys. If you got any feedback from there for us, if you got any great content from us and something you learned from this, how to build a good team, if you want to reach out to any of our team members and help get their experience, you can absolutely do that. Just reach out to us, and please like, subscribe, comment, follow, hit the alert icon so you get alerted. We drop our episodes every Monday at 10 o'clock. Again, thank you guys for being here.